Denise. Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. It's Denise. Denise. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party. It's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey everyone, what is up? Welcome to the channel. I'm Denise Salcedo. You're watching Speak Now Pro Wrestling. Today it is the January 26th edition of AEW Dynamite. We got AEW Beach Break here tonight to talk about, and we kind of had an interesting show that I think was a mixed bag, I would say, of things that I did like and things that were sort of filler, and one thing that I was not a fan of here tonight. So we're going to go ahead and talk about all of that here today. But before I get started going through the show, I first and foremost want to welcome each and every single one of you who are tuning into the show. Thank you guys so much, as always, from the bottom of my heart. Without you guys, this show would not be possible. So thank you so much to everyone who is taking part in today's stream. Also, for those of you who do not know, this is a very interactive stream. So send in your thoughts, send in your comments as we go through each and every single thing that occurred on today's show. On top of that, just a friendly reminder, everybody, if you want to make sure that your question, your comment, or your statement gets read on this stream, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat. If you do send in a super chat, I will read your comment here on the show. On top of that, F4W Online allows me to keep 100% of all the money that I make from super chat, so they help me out and they keep me going. So if you want to get your thoughts heard on this channel and also help me out, you are more than welcome to send in a super chat at any point throughout this show, and I will pull them up. So let's get into this, because I think the best way to describe AEW Dynamite today is really the fact that we had an amazing opening match. I thought everything after that opening match was kind of like, we did have a really good promo segment between MJF and CM Punk, and then we had a little bit of a kind of a big, a pretty nice surprise at the finale of the show, and also something that occurred on the show that I was not a fan of, and I will talk about here today. But let's get right into it. We got our first super chat of the day. This one is from Taylor Cannon. Thank you so much to Taylor, who says, "Hey Denise, hope you are well. Had to come here and support Dynamite. Was an awesome show tonight." Thank you so much to Taylor Cannon for sending in some love. I always appreciate you coming on here and spreading the joy, man. We also got another super chat from Devin Schultz. Didn't send in a comment, but I appreciate the super chat regardless. So thank you so much to Devin Schultz to get in here. We got everybody's blowing up the chat because of Danhausen, and hell yeah, because Danhausen, I feel like if you're not a fan of Danhausen, chances are you don't know who Danhausen is. If you've seen Danhausen, then I feel like you are definitely going to be a fan of Danhausen, because he is somebody that is very hard not to like. He has this very hilarious personality, and I've gotten to see him I got to see him live at the GCW show in LA. I forgot which one it was, but he was there. And he literally just brought so much like fun and energy to the show. It was so great to see him there. I think that Danhausen is going to be a very interesting yet perfect fit to AEW Dynamite. Like, I'm trying to think of the best way to describe Danhausen. And I would say that if you're going to like, let me just say this. If you can't already tell based on the feedback that people are posting up on social media and all of that, I swear to God, the second I posted that picture that Danhausen was now in AEW, it blew the hell up. Like, I don't recall any of my posts like blowing up that much so fast than the one that I posted about Danhausen. Like, people are legit excited and happy to see him there. And obviously, he was with Ring of Honor before, and that was really the first like promotion that he was with, where he really begun to be known by people. So I think that Danhausen is a really great fit on AEW. And the reason for that is the personality. I think that he is somebody that is going to get massively over really because the character is so lovable and so enjoyable to see. And you can't help but to like get a laugh out of Danhausen. So I see him along the lines of like Orange Cassidy, maybe not to the like extent. I feel like you can take Orange Cassidy maybe just a little bit more seriously, but I see Danhausen along the lines of like an Orange Cassidy, a little bit above Luchasaurus in terms of the character wise. So it is going to be interesting to see how they sort of incorporate Danhausen into AEW. But immediately after he came out and he debuted during the main event, which we'll talk about more later on, when he debuted in the main event, immediately after, Tony Khan did post a tweet saying that Danhausen is officially All Elite. And from the so from the sounds of it, this is going to be something that I think fans are really going to dig and are really going to be interested in. So let's go ahead and get a lot of people are like, he's so funny. Love Danhausen. He's a very funny person. Let's see what we got here. We got a super chat from Maj Motar. Thank you so much to Maj, who says, cannot see the killer NXT champion Adam Cole in AEW yet. Hope he gets a similar run soon. Well, I know it's not time just yet to talk about this Adam Cole stuff, but I'm going to have some thoughts on those, on that whole situation, which may be a little bit controversial, but we'll get to it in just a hot minute here. We got another super chat from Twist of Fate Studios. Thank you so much to Twist of Fate Studios, who says, Danhausen is All Elite. Everything else is unimportant. Love you, Denise, regardless of what SRS says about you. Thank you so much for the love, man. I appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming on to this show here. I really thank you for that. We got another super chat from Devin Schultz, who says, so YouTube Hausen ate my comment, Hausen, but this show Hausen should have started Hausen with Danhausen and end Hausen with Danhausen. Devin Schultz, my man, you got your money's worth on this super chat because that was a challenge, bro. Thank you so much for making me laugh with that super chat. I really appreciate it, man. All right, guys, let's get into the show because there is a lot to talk about here today. And I'm really excited about the fact that I get to talk about this opening match that we got on Dynamite today. And this was the TNT title unification match. You had TNT champion Cody Rhodes defending his title against the interim TNT champion, Sammy Guevara. And this was a match that, quite frankly, I was looking forward to it for one reason. And the reason for that is that I'm a mark for ladder matches, all right? Like, screw it, I'm a mark. I know a lot of people are like, oh, we see so many ladder matches, in certain promotions, etc. And I'm like, screw you, man. Don't suck the fun. I love ladder matches. So I was looking forward to it in that sense. But this whole story with Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, if you've been here on my streams before, you know that I haven't necessarily been so nuts about that whole story. I don't like the losing of the losing of the title, getting back the title, all of that. I'm not that big of a fan of that, right? But I'm going to throw all of that out the window right now. I'm going to throw it out because, damn, Sammy Guevara and Cody Rhodes had a magnificent match here tonight. I think that in terms of I know we're only 26 days into 2022, but this match is definitely up there in terms of top 5 matches that I've seen on Dynamite this year. That I've seen across the board from, all the shows that I've been watching this year. Again, we're only a couple of days in, but screw it. I'm naming it one of the best matches for sure of this month. I think the reason that I personally enjoyed this match and probably why a lot of people really enjoyed this match is that they went right into this, right? But they didn't necessarily go for the ladders right away. And for a hot minute, I was like, no, I need these ladders and I need them now, right? And so they had this really nice pace where they kicked off the match in the ring, going toe-to-toe there. You see Sammy Guevara try to incorporate the ladder into this match, but Cody Rhodes kind of stops him by giving him a punch in the face. Then you see them end up, fighting a little bit out in the crowd. You see Cody Rhodes hit him with a killer clothesline, etc. And at this point, I'm thinking all right, this is fun and all, but when are they going to get to the ladders? And then the action commenced, ladies and gentlemen. And this is where I was kind of like losing my mind. I was exploding with happiness, if that's the best way to say it. They executed some spots in this match that could have gone terribly wrong, that could have been like really horribly executed, right? But Jesus, they legitimately did some crazy stuff in this match that were crisp, perfectly executed, and had the perfect, like, wow moments. It was a lot of fun. Some of which of those spots included, there was a moment where, and I'm trying to find where the hell I am on these notes here. All right, here we go. So there's a moment where they're both on top of the ladder, and Cody Rhodes hits a vertical suplex on Sammy Guevara. And the reason why I personally liked this vertical suplex was because when Cody Rhodes did it, he kind of did it in slow motion. Like, I know that's not the intention, but I like recall every second of that fall, and it gave me just enough time to like really enjoy that. So I was kind of a fan of that. There was a moment where Cody literally throws Sammy Guevara in between the crevice of the ladders, and that spot looks so incredibly painful. We see Cody work the leg of Sammy Guevara throughout this match, one of which you see him put on a figure four on Sammy, but at the exact same time as he's doing this submission, he has the ladder like tangled in there, like with his legs. It looked terribly painful. Like, throughout like the first portion of this match, you literally see Sammy Guevara just pretty much take a bunch of brutal spots. Like, Sammy Guevara is definitely going to be feeling it tonight, tomorrow, the following few days or whatever. So that was a really good moment there. Afterwards, there's another moment where Cody literally just throws the ladder onto Sammy Guevara's face. That was brutal too. And then this is where things kind of get really freaking nuts. So they set up two ladders. They got a tall ladder and like a semi-smaller ladder. And you have Cody Rhodes on the tall ladder. You have Sammy Guevara on the smaller ladder. And somehow, some way, Sammy Guevara literally launches himself from one ladder onto another ladder and gets Cody Rhodes with a cutter that is so perfectly executed that I really just needed to watch that on replay over and over. That was my favorite portion of this match and kind of had like the big pop of the night for me, at least. And then when I thought that no other spot was going to top that, we get a really nice crossroads right in between the ladders. Both guys are there. We get the crossroads, and it just looked really great. There's also a moment where both of these guys are hanging from the top, and Cody Rhodes kind of has his hands on the belt or on that little bar thing, and Sammy Guevara is literally on him like a backpack, like choking him, and they both end up falling down. We see Fuego come in, he gets involved, and for a second I thought, oh man, I don't want to see Fuego kind of take away from this match, but he didn't. He was in there really quick, begging Cody Rhodes to have mercy on Sammy Guevara and the pain that he was unleashing on Sammy Guevara. So he didn't take, too much time from this match, right? Afterwards, we see Sammy hit a really nice tornillo. Afterwards, we see Sammy go to the top of the ladder. He hits a swanton from the top of the ladder to Cody, who's laying on another ladder. The ladder doesn't even bend, by the way. And then finally, we end up seeing, towards the end, we end up seeing Sammy actually get the win here. And it's funny because I think I stopped writing notes after this because I was so invested in the match that I didn't even write down the rest of everything. But we end up seeing Sammy Guevara get the win here, and now he's essentially the undisputed TNT champion. And really, this was just a really great match. But how did you guys feel about it? Let's get some thoughts in here. I know I saw a couple of people that were kind of like irked about it being like the two titles, the interim title and the TNT title, and I get it. I'm not crazy about the whole losing the title, winning back the title in such a short amount of time. But given that this match really was good, I'm just going to STF you and enjoy it. So let's see what we got here. We got a super chat from Brandon Rosen who says, the ladder match was definitely the highlight of the show, maybe one of the best of 2022. Sammy's cutter off the ladder gets a chef's kiss from me. Dude, that was so freaking epic. I cannot stop putting that over. Like that needs to be incorporated into Dynamite's like intro packages. It needs to be incorporated into that whatever highlight reel they end up using for like the rest of eternity. We got a super chat from Killer Mike 375 who says, there were so many spots in this match I loved, but that delayed vertical suplex from Cody blew my mind. Same with the cutter from Sammy. Great match. It was a great match. And like, you know what's funny? As I was watching this match, I was thinking like, man, Cody has been trying like so hard to, be a babyface again with the crowd. And, there's been certain things like I wasn't a fan of the whole Cody Rhodes promo. You guys know that. Like I wasn't nuts about it. I swear to God, after this match, I was like, I forgive you, Cody. I forgive you. Thank you so much to Killer Mike 375 for that super chat. We got another one from Justin Martin. Thank you so much to Justin, who says that springboard twisting cutter is one of the craziest ladder match spots ever. Happy to see Sammy get his Razor Ramon moment posing with both belts. Yeah, instantly. That's obviously something that people were posting on like social media, etc., kind of pointing a nod to those two things. Thank you so much to Justin Martin for also sending this in. And here's the crazy thing, like, speaking of this ladder match, is we just saw that awesome, like, I was going to say something. Never mind. I'm going to move on. Because then I'm going to go into an entirely different topic. Thank you so much to Justin Martin for sending in this super chat. I really appreciate it. And alrighty, guys. So we got a lot of people pretty much putting over this match. I don't think that people are, what do you call it? I don't think that, like nobody is saying anything bad about this match. People are loving that match for sure. All right, so let's go ahead and continue on, everybody. Let's get into the rest of the show because we got a lot more that went down. So here we go. We had a squash match for good old Wardlow, who everybody has been, obviously, we've been waiting to see when the hell is that turn officially coming for MJF. But this ended up being a handicap match. Wardlow absolutely kills two guys, Elijah Dean and Jake Alexander in his hometown. He hits multiple power bombs, gets the win. It's a quick squash match. Then let's get into the trios match. So unfortunately, like the Wardlow match, okay, like that's what we expected, right? We've been expecting those squash matches. So that was just like whatever's, right? This trios match, I was not necessarily fond of. This was kind of the point of the show where I kind of felt like, oof, I'm not crazy about this. We had the Inner Circle, Chris Jericho, Ortiz, and Santana go on to face 2.0, Jeff Parker and Matt Lee and Daniel Garcia. So this for me, for those of you who have been listening to the shows, you know that I have not necessarily been crazy about what they've really been doing here with this 2.0 stuff, Chris Jericho. I haven't necessarily been completely invested in the story. I've been the person that's like, damn it, let's just, move on already. Let's do something else. I've been liking the growth that we've seen from Daniel Garcia because Daniel Garcia has shown a lot of growth. So I will say that. But this match was nothing special, in my opinion. This was really obviously just story-based. The story here is that Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz are not coexisting, ladies and gentlemen. And I know some people are going to be like, Denise, don't say that word. But what else was it? They weren't coexisting. Santana and Ortiz were necessarily not wanting to tag in Chris Jericho during this match, and Chris Jericho was getting frustrated, so they weren't on the same page. This ends up leading to, some, dilemmas here. We see Jericho essentially, he ends up taking himself out of the match, and then he breaks up 2.0's finisher. He hits the Judas effect, and then Santana ends up hitting a pile driver, and he gets the win for his team. But really here, the story is that we are seeing the downfall of the Inner Circle, Santana Ortiz and Chris Jericho here. And my whole issue with this thing is, like, we all saw everything that they did between the Pinnacle and the Inner Circle. And given the story of what was happening with that, and given the fact that they had they had several moments where they could have broken up the Inner Circle, I feel that it would have made more sense. Like, if you're going to do this with the Inner Circle, if you're going to break them up now, like, it would have made more sense to give the Pinnacle that, give them that bragging right of, hey, we're the ones who ended the inner circle, we're the ones who broke up the inner circle. Like, they had a window of opportunity to do that. And so for me, I'm kind of like, why didn't you guys just do it then, instead of, making us wait all this, and now we're getting back to this, and now we're probably going to be seeing this breakup or whatever. So for me, I think they should have done it when they were feuding with the Pinnacle, especially because there were a lot of opportunities there to do that. On top of it, the other part of me is kind of like, all right, well, if this is going to officially lead to Santana and Ortiz going off and doing their own thing and no longer being with the inner circle, I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it, man. At this point, I'd rather see that. Like, I'm torn with this. Like, I hate the way that it's like been done, that we've waited up until this point. But then part of me is like, screw it. Let's just do it. Let's break them up. I want to see Santana and Ortiz go off and do something else. I don't want to see them in the shadows of Chris Jericho anymore, or in the shadows of, all his storylines and whatnot. So I'm here for this breakup is what I'm saying. I'm here for it. Let's just do it already. Dang. Guys, how do you feel about this? Go ahead and let me know. Let's get some comments in here. Once again, if you want to get your question, comment, or statement 100% guaranteed read on the stream, you can send in a super chat. But we got a comment here from Ed Pumps, who says, I'm 100% ready for this shit to be over. Go Santana and Ortiz can be free and finally get a run. Ed Pumps, I could not agree with you any more than that. We got a comment from Justin, who says, while the inner circle needed to win, they told a fun story getting there with Santana and Ortiz not wanting to work with Jericho, keeping the wheels turning for their eventual breakup. Andrew Cook says this was a little odd, but it was still a nice way to build up Santana and Ortiz while teasing the inner circle breakup. And we got people saying, Alex Lynn says, I love 2.0, but this just felt like a backdrop for Santana and Ortiz to turn on Jericho, so them winning was weird. We have Laila Hirsch, who says, the problem with this match is that it was about the storyline. They should have used the match more to move the storyline instead of the match getting in the way of the storyline, says Dale Arazi. Alrighty, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody. But I'm definitely on board with Santana and Ortiz going off and doing their own thing officially. Alrighty, let's go ahead and continue on, everybody. So let's get into, someone says that I'm not a fan of long-term storytelling. I'm a fan of long-term storytelling, but it would have made more sense to break up the inner circle when they were feuding with the freaking Pinnacle. They had the opportunity there. It was right there. They should have just taken it and given the Pinnacle something to brag about. Like, the Pinnacle, I love the way that they were birthed into AEW, right? That whole swerve with the swerve on top of the swerve that they did. And I loved like the start of the Pinnacle, right? Like, they felt like a big freaking deal. They really did. And then it kind of just, it felt very backwards. And I mean, when we were talking about the Pinnacle and the inner circle, we were talking about the booking of that and all of that. So that's, months old argument now, but it's just like they had the opportunity there. Okay. We didn't need, this whole American Top Team inner circle stuff. We didn't really need that. We didn't need it. So for me, I'm like, what was the point? Tell me, what was the point of not executing the breakup then? All right. Well, let's see what we got here. We got Church of Platinum saying, let's be honest, the Pinnacle was created just to job to the inner circle. And let's get some comments and see and make sure I got some good stuff in here. All right. Well, I'll wait for you guys to get in here. All right. Let's continue on, everybody. Let's get into Adam Page and Lance Archer. So from the looks of it, Lance Archer wants to do a Texas death match with Hangman Adam Page. I'm here for it. I love seeing Adam Page with the gold. It's interesting too, because I feel like I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, I don't like what they're doing with Adam Page. I'm not that person, because I do like everything that he did with Bryan Danielson, but I kind of feel bad in the sense that sometimes when I'm watching Dynamite and all of a sudden they bring up Adam Page and I'm like, oh yeah, Adam Page champion, huh? Why? That should not be a thing. Like, I should not be thinking, oh yeah, Adam Page is our champion. I think we need to I don't want to say, I don't want to be that person that's like, oh, we need to do more with Adam Page because he's champion. He had a really hot first feud, in his first reign as champion. But sometimes I forget. I don't know why. But I'm liking so far what they're doing with this Lance Archer stuff. So we're there. All right, let's go ahead and continue on to what we're moving on from here. And let's get into probably one of my favorite parts of the show. I didn't time this or anything, but this was a pretty long segment and it got pretty deep, I think. And I liked it, but it did take up a lot, at least I feel, a lot of the show. I don't know why, but it definitely felt long. Before I do get into that, just a friendly reminder, everybody, that I will be back here on Friday to talk about AEW Rampage and Smackdown. I'm here 3 times a week. You guys know it. NXT on Tuesday. Wednesdays right here to talk about Dynamite, and then Friday, Smackdown and Rampage. Also, some good news, everybody. I have officially been approved to do media for AEW Revolution, so I will be there for the pay-per-view and all of that good stuff. So I've officially been credentialed. Thumbs up. Let's get into CM Punk and MJF. So there was kind of a lot that went down here. And again, even though this was sort of a lengthy segment, I liked it for what it was. I didn't feel that some of the lines, there's so many times when we're listening to MJF and CM Punk when they do their promos, there's so many of these lines where they have the moment, and they usually have those one-liners that really just grab you. I didn't feel this one necessarily had that. I thought this one was good because I really liked how MJF was trying to turn the crowd against CM Punk. That was my whole favorite part about this whole thing, where we have CM Punk coming out first and foremost. He comes out and he basically says, you know what? I'm sick of talking. I'm ready to fight, man. Like, let's do this match with MJF and CM Punk. Like, let's get this done. He has the Burberry scarf around his neck. He's ready to go. He's like, I've been through FTR. I've been through Sean Spears. I've been through Wardlow. There's nobody else. It should be MJF. And then we finally have MJF coming out and he's like, I'm not going to waste a big match like this, CM Punk versus MJF, with a crowd like Cleveland. So he continues to bury Cleveland and says he's going to do this match in Chicago with CM Punk. And I'm thinking, BS, no, you're not. This is supposedly going to happen. We're not going to get CM Punk versus MJF. They are lying. MJF is lying to us again. Well, lo and behold, they're promoting it. They promoted it multiple times today. It was said, but even with all of that knowledge going into this, I have a feeling that this match is not going to happen. I don't think we're going to be seeing MJF versus CM Punk, even though they're promoting it. So I don't know what's going to happen next week, but it just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. So let's go ahead and continue on here. After this, we kind of get this very, very long promo. This is basically from CM Punk basically says that, he's not going to leave wrestling again, but MJF says that he is. And this is the point of this whole conversation where MJF tries to turn the fans against CM Punk. And I thought he did a pretty good job. And by that, I mean, like, he was bringing up some things that, like, if you're trying to make a good argument, MJF had a really good argument during all of this. He basically says that, that CM Punk doesn't care about the people that have been cheering for him. He doesn't care about the people that are rooting for him. That why does he think that the fans shouldn't be fools and think that CM Punk wouldn't leave wrestling again, that he would leave wrestling again. And he said that CM Punk would turn his back on the people and go cry about it on a podcast. So I did like all of that. Obviously, CM Punk fires back by making fun of MJF, calling him just a fan and saying that he doesn't understand, that he doesn't have the level of maturity to understand what really went down with CM Punk, etc. After this, we get a brutal attack. We get MJF bringing out all of his guys. But Shawn Spears ends up attacking CM Punk from behind. So then all of, the Pinnacle essentially starts attacking CM Punk, and CM Punk is out there basically taking the beating here. And Wardlow is commanded by MJF to hit a power bomb on CM Punk onto a chair. He does it. And then MJF sits on top of CM Punk. And that is how this segment draws to a close. So with that being said, CM Punk has absolutely no friends. Everybody was so happy when CM Punk came in, but he doesn't have one friend there to come out and have his back when he's being attacked by however many men there. This was a very long segment. It probably could have been cut down just a couple of, just a little bit there. But for the most part, I was invested again in everything that MJF had to say here. Send in your thoughts, everybody. We got a super chat. Thank you so much to Blair Elia Sen. I appreciate you. Blair says, deducting 1 penny because you swore per Danhausen. I love it. I was looking, I was like, what? This is a very specific number, 665. Thank you so much for deducting the 1 penny, because the number 666 terrify me, okay? Thank you so much, Blair, for all the love. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And let's get what people are saying here. Let's get some comments up in here. And this one's from Killer Mike, who says, the MJF suing line got me. I thought they wouldn't let anyone mention that, considering Cabana is in the same company. That is right. So Mike is bringing up the fact that MJF did bring up that if CM Punk gets unhappy and he doesn't get what he wants, that he's just going to sue. So they brought up the whole, controversy with all of that and the podcast. And I was more surprised that they brought up the podcast thing, because we all know how that went down and how that ended up ruining the friendships of Colt Cabana and CM Punk. And I'm still, it seems still a little unclear what that relationship is like. I don't even want to touch that. So the fact that it was brought up on the air was like, ooh, I ain't going anywhere near that. Ooh. Going away from that. We got Danny Boy, who says everything was on point tonight at Beach Break, except the beach, my friend. The beach was not on point. The weather was not on point. All right, let's go ahead and continue, everybody. We got still so much to talk about. Before we do, friendly reminder, everyone, if you haven't subscribed to F4W Online and you are right here on this stream, please make sure that you guys do make your way over to F4W Online. If you're listening to the audio version or you're watching on Twitter, whatever you're watching on, please make sure that you guys go ahead and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 100K. Also, let's get into this women's wrestling match. We had two of my favorites, Laila Hirsch versus Red Velvet. This was okay. This was a decent little match here. I thought there was it wasn't the greatest, and the crowd was a little bit, they were respectful and trying to get invested in this match, but they weren't like hot for it by any means, I don't want to say the crowd was dead for this match. They weren't dead necessarily, but they also weren't like going, cray bananas over it. But anyways, Red Velvet showed a lot of flair during this match. She's got a lot of spunk. We saw that during this match. We saw Velvet hit a really nice spear on Laila Hirsch. Great. We see Leyla lock in the legit lock, onto Red Velvet. Red Velvet ends up breaking it up by putting her foot on the rope. Cool. Leyla ends up rolling her up, grabs the tights, gets the win here. Post-match is kind of where, we get a little bit more here. Leyla continues, the beatdown on Red Velvet by putting her in the legit lock again. Red Velvet is tapping out, but they can't get it to break up. So Chris Statlander comes out and she helps out Red Velvet. And obviously, Laila Hirsch just, goes about her own way. So the pros of this, there are a couple of pros in this. One, we got TV time for both Red Velvet and Laila Hirsch, who for the most part, I would say earned it. They've been pretty entertaining the times we have seen them on Dynamite or on Rampage. It furthers the character of Laila Hirsch. We're finally starting to get a little depth with her. She's apparently, going mad. We're starting to see that. Cool. And we're getting the story developed between Chris Statlander and legit Laila Hirsch. So I like that. Cool. These are not women that are in the championship picture. And I've been saying this nonstop. We need more than just one story for the women. So there you go. We got one here and we're making our way to more. So this was fine. This wasn't, anything newsworthy really, but it was fine, was okay. Let's go ahead and continue on with the rest of this show. And let's get into the House of Black, everybody. So we got the House of Black. This has been some good stuff, guys, in terms of like the Pac promos that we've been seeing the last, I think, 2 weeks now. We've been seeing some nice Pac promos where, he's covered with the little bandana. He's talking about justice and getting revenge on Malachi Black, etc. So this time we had the House of Black, Brody King and Malachi Black cutting a promo, and it was very, very spooky, very, very dark. Basically, they're saying that Pac is going to be humbled. He's going to be feeling a lot of pain, that he's going to start praying and asking for salvation. And then they had this really good line at the end where they said, just like death, we are inevitable. Good stuff, man. I like it. Not bad. I have nothing else to add to this. We'll just have to wait and see what we continue on saying with Pac and Black and King. Alrighty, let's see what we got here. This is a comment from Ryan Cordes who says, Malachi is terrified how calm he is. Yeah, he really is. The whole production for these has been phenomenal, man. Like, they really do make it stand out. They really differentiate themselves, what they're doing with the House of Black and Pac, from everything else that you're seeing on the show, which is good. You want that. You don't want everything to be the same. So I would definitely give that a thumbs up here. And this is a comment from Lord Pelagius who says, I also noticed this promo featured a shot of Julia Hart. Still hoping for Goth Pirate Hart. Did it? I didn't catch that. Oh man, that's my bad. But I think that I think Julia Hart is going to get a change here, especially because when she had that whole promo where she challenges Jade Cargill and she says, she yells at Griff Garrison and she's like, I can stand up for myself, this and that. And I'm like, what? Our wholesome little Julia Hart got all sassy on Griff Garrison? All right. So I think that's definitely I think we are going to get Goth Julia Hart, and I am so here for it. People are asking if she's going to be joining the House of Black. I was going to say the House of Torture. The House of Black. I hope she does. I honestly hope she does. It would be interesting. Bryce Williams says, great Malachi voice, Denise. I make everybody's voice exactly the same because I have absolutely zero skills when it comes to like impersonations. Zero skills with that. So let's go ahead and move on from this, because after this we got somewhat of an I would say that I saw a couple of people on my Twitter feed tell me they didn't like this next segment. And I was like, I get it. I get why people didn't like it, but I'll tell you guys why I liked it. But first and foremost, we got the Britt Baker promo. And this is essentially, Tony Schiavone has all of the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, awards there and, all these little banners and all this other stuff, right? And so she comes in to the mic and she basically says, I haven't had a lot of mic time here on AEW, but I'm back. And I'm like, or no, she didn't say she was back, but she was basically saying like she's gonna have time to talk on the mic, etc. And I'm thinking this is very true because I don't recall really getting much like promo action for Britt Baker. Obviously, she's had a lot of more like backstage stuff. She's been doing, a couple of interviews, a couple of stuff. We really haven't had like a 1-to-1 with Britt Baker. So I thought, all right, cool. And then this is one thing that I didn't like. And the reason why I wasn't crazy about this was, so Britt Baker says that MJF and CM Punk, every time that they're on the mic, that they can't stop mentioning Britt's name. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, because she was a huge topic in their earlier promos from what feels like months ago now. Obviously, it wasn't months ago, but it feels like months ago. So I didn't like that it took so long from when her name was mentioned in those promos to now where Britt is finally, acknowledging it, bringing it up and speaking for herself. So I kind of felt like, man, it's been such a long time since they mentioned Britt Baker on those promos that I just kind of felt like it just felt too far, like too much has happened in between then to now bring it up during this conversation. But anyways, She, mentioned she's had 9 singles victories since winning her championship bout. She kind of goes on talking about how she made this division, how there was nobody that was really, the face of the AEW women's division, but that she took it and she made it her own. And all of those things are true. Everything that she said, she talks about how she's made history in AEW, all which again are true. I loved all of this. And then, she brags about being Female Wrestler of the Year for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. She says she wants to be Female of the Decade. Okay, great. Loved all of that stuff. I think the only stuff that I didn't like, and this was mainly because it was more so, I think, meant for the live audience, was when she was talking a lot about like the Pittsburgh Steelers and all of that. I think that was obviously more geared to like the live audience that was there, which was fine. But I think for me, the reason why I agree with people when they said this went too long, but the only reason why I didn't hate it was because I was just glad to get shades of that Britt Baker that I personally enjoy and like to see. So for me, I'm like, all right, maybe the entire thing wasn't for me. I know I had people saying that they felt that it didn't lead to anything, that it didn't necessarily go anywhere. I think for me, I liked it because it kind of just reminded us like, hey, this is our champion. Britt Baker's our champion. She's the AEW Women's World Champion. Great. And she's also, I just think they need to make sure that you don't forget that Britt Baker is the champion. I don't think that like that for me has been an issue where they haven't really, we've had so much of the focus in other places like for the women, which is great too, right? You still want to see, the focus, like I said, building other stories besides just the main title picture, but you don't want to forget the main title picture, because I kind of feel like there hasn't, when you're champion, you're supposed to be the main target. People are supposed to be going after you. I don't really feel like they've been telling that story with Britt Baker. Like if it wasn't for like what she did with Riho and that match with Ty Conti, like there hasn't really been anything super hot surrounding the AEW Women's World Title picture. The Riho stuff was okay, but to me it wasn't like hot stuff. And then the stuff with Ty Conti was great just because, people were excited to see Ty Conti in that position at Full Gear, and people were excited for her there. But other than that, things haven't necessarily felt hot for the AEW Women's World Title picture. So that's, I think, my whole thing where I'm like, you know what? At least we're getting this, and maybe this will lead to something else down the line. So that's kind of how I felt about this Britt Baker promo. However, I do agree with a lot of the criticisms that were brought in about it. We got a super chat. Thank you so much to Jorge Carrillo Estrada, who sends in a super chat. Didn't send in a comment, but I still appreciate the love and support. I really appreciate this a whole lot. And so let's get some comments here and see if people, what they got to say. This one's from Doppelganger399, who says, insults local sports team, a trope as old as time. And it works, right? It works. It works for, those towns. If it's a big news story, if there's like a big sports news story, obviously that worked too, because I remember when we were talking about like the Urban Meyer stuff and those whole things, like that was, that fell into something that was a big story during that period in time. So it could work, but I think this one kind of lost me just on that portion there. And all right, so let's go ahead and continue on from here. Once again, guys, friendly reminder, if you do want to get your question, comment, or statement read on the stream, you're more than welcome to send in a super chat. F4W Online does allow me to keep 100% of all proceeds from all super chats, so they keep me going. All right. Let's see what we got here. I'm going to skip the Vicky stuff for now because there really isn't much. Actually, I might as well just say it. Vicky comes out screaming, excuse me. Nyla Rose basically cuts a quick promo saying that Ruby got a fluke victory on her and she's going to prove it next week. All right, cool. Let's get into, we got one more thing to talk about, but before I get to that, let's talk about the matches that were announced. Also, I should warn you guys now, I think my thoughts on the Adam Cole Orange Cassidy match will be somewhat unexpected. I don't know. All right. AEW Rampage this Friday, which I will be here to talk about. We got Jon Moxley versus Anthony Bowens. That should be a lot of fun. FTR versus Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson. Okay. TBS Championship, Jade Cargill versus Julia Hart. Let's see if we get an edgy Julia Hart there today. I mean, on Friday. AEW Tag Team Championship match, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus Private Party. I'm looking forward to that one. And then we got 2 matches announced for next week's AEW Dynamite, one of which I still don't believe is actually happening. But anyways, it's promoted, so I might as well talk about it. CM Punk versus MJF. And then the other one is Malachi Black and Brody King, the House of Black versus Death Triangle, Pac and Penta El Cero Miedo. I'm looking forward to that one. So now let's get in. Cadillac Carson says, talk about Brock, Denise. No, I don't need the Brock Anderson stance coming at me like they did last time, man. I'm still traumatized from that. That was very terrifying for me. Let's get into this unsanctioned lights out match between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. So obviously we already talked about Danhausen during this, so we won't get into that anymore since we already talked about it at the top of this stream. Good for Danhausen. Happy to see him here. He essentially debuted when he came out of the ring during this match. Good moment. Really liked that. That was definitely a highlight of this match. This match started out hot. It had some, pretty good moments during this, one of which really was Danhausen. We saw a lot of interferences here. We saw best friends get involved, the Young Bucks, Trent and Rocky Romero. There was a lot that kind of went down during this, but I want to fast forward to the good parts here. And the good part really was everything that led up to the finish. We saw Orange Cassidy hit the beach break. He hits the orange punch. That was good stuff. We see Orange Cassidy hit the Panama Sunrise, gets a near fall immediately after that. Cool. They end up fighting in the back area. Adam Cole puts Orange Cassidy through a table. Good stuff there. They end up back on the ramp, and then Orange Cassidy hits him with the super kick. Good stuff there. Adam Cole ends up going to the top of the little entrance tunnel thing. He goes to the top. He thinks Orange Cassidy's down below, but Orange Cassidy is actually directly behind him. He hits him with a low blow and ends up bear hugging him and throwing him off the stage along with himself, and they fall straight through that canvas that was down there. So Orange Cassidy gets the win here, guys, and I know what you guys are going to say. I already know the argument to this, all right? So I know what you guys are going to say. Orange Cassidy wins. Woohoo. This is an unsanctioned match, so the loss isn't going to count for Adam Cole, so he's okay. Well, I don't care about that argument because I do not want to see Adam freaking Cole lose just yet. The guy just came into the company. I don't think he should be taking this L to Orange Cassidy. I'm sorry. I think if he's going to be taking an L to somebody, it should be somebody like, I don't know, Kenny Omega or Pac or John Moxley or somebody else. And this is not a knock on Orange Cassidy whatsoever, because Orange Cassidy is great and all of that, but it just, I didn't like it. I wasn't a fan of that. I did not want to see Adam Cole getting pinned here. I didn't think that, and I know people are going to be like, oh, it doesn't count, it's unsanctioned, blah, blah, blah. Regardless, it still happened, and I'm not a fan of that. So even though I like the match, I like the surprise of Danhausen, I liked everything that led up to the finish. The finish itself was like, okay, fine. They went through the canvas. Cool, whatever. It wasn't like, I've seen more spectacular things, right? But I just did not want to see Adam Cole get pinned here. I was not a fan of that. So send in your thoughts. Fan, not a fan, let us know. We got a couple of super chats here. If you do want to send in a super chat, this is the last call to do so, because afterwards, once I log off, obviously I won't be able to read them anymore. So this is your last call. All right, this one is from William Santoro Jr. Thank you so much to William, who says, it was great to see Brit's, excuse me. It was great to see Brit's 2021 awards. Also, I'm from Pittsburgh and was at Cleveland's last show. Always love seeing Britt Baker destroy Cleveland. Good stuff, man. Thank you so much to William for sending in the super chat. I thank you very, very much. We got another one from R33S3M, who says, just because you get to keep 100%. Thank you so much, dude. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, and let's go through a couple more comments here. And Haj Gulashi says, Cole is still undefeated is the argument. I knew you guys were going to say that. I already knew that, everybody. And then Jeff says that finish was brutal. Let's go through some more comments here. Mega Duffy says, I accept that criticism. Heckman says it was a story of the low blows. We got people saying, Bonker says, do you want Orange Cassidy to keep losing to Adam Cole? Dude, I just don't want to see Adam Cole. I didn't like it. I did not like it. And I already knew everybody's argument heading into this. See, this is what I mean. We got somebody saying he's a joke. How do we take Adam Cole seriously now? Like, that's what I mean. People are going to think that. Like, that's what I mean here. Let's see what else we got here. Al Max says, I mean, it was an unsanctioned match. Orange Cassidy was going to win no matter what. Pile Driver finishes says, this is the first match I didn't completely hate Orange Cassidy. Love that Danhausen. And I like Orange Cassidy, guys. I really do. Crazy J says, having Orange Cassidy lose again would bury him. This elevates Orange and barely hurts Adam Cole. I wouldn't say barely hurts Adam Cole. I wouldn't say that. Obviously, this win helps out Orange Cassidy, but I think it hurts him a little bit more than people might think. That's my personal opinion. Roberto Arsenal says, patience, Denise, patience. Adam Cole's time to shine will come when Kenny comes back and they both wrestle each other. And let's go through a couple more comments here. And let's go through, let me get some more comments. This one's from Dale, who says, I disagree. People always knock Orange Cassidy. Why can't we have this last part of their story for their future, especially Cole beat Orange Cassidy twice? YT says, love that Danhausen. Very nice, very evil. Must feud with ass boys immediately. Alrighty, so there you guys go. And this is from Launchpad42, who says, since it's a lights out match, this doesn't count on the records. Adam Cole is still #1 contender. I'd be surprised if he wasn't facing Hangman at Revolution. I already knew that was going to be everybody's argument, but I don't care about the argument. It's my opinion. I didn't like it. All right. Thanks everybody for coming in and checking out this show. I really hope that you guys had a good time here today. If you did, guys, please share this on your preferred social media app, whatever app you're on. Please help me spread the word about this show. I'm really trying to grow this podcast. Obviously we've built such a nice, family here on the Speak Now Pro Wrestling portion of F4W Online. So I really want to thank you guys so much for coming in. I feel like I've gotten to know so many of you. Please keep coming into the shows. I'll see you Friday. It's going to be a good time. But other than that, I do want to give a quick promotion over to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. If you guys haven't gone over there yet, please go. I've been dropping so many interviews, one with Kylan King. I had one with Leo Rush. I had one with Deonna Purrazzo, Zicky Dice. I had one with WWE's Aaliyah that just went up today. And so many. I had another one too. Oh my gosh, I'm blanking right now. I'm blanking on my own interviews for a second. And I have more that I'm going to be posting up. So please make sure that you guys check those out. Alex Hammerstone. I also had one with Alex Hammerstone, MLW World Champion. That one's there too. And then also, I posted up a fun video today, which I think you guys will like. I found my journal from when I was 13 years old, and I was a big giant mark, more markier than I am now. And it's very, very embarrassing. I read the journal on the show, on my YouTube channel. I made a whole video out of it. So go check it out. It's very, very embarrassing. I'm regretting doing it, but if it makes people laugh, then I'm happy that it makes people laugh. So head on over there, youtube.com/Denise Salcedo. And other than that, do not forget to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and make sure to follow me on Twitter and or on Instagram @_Denise Salcedo. Bye, everybody.